Welcome to another episode of Behind the Catch Fence. I'm your host, David Hoffman. It's episode 47, and we're going dirt racing today. Our special guest is sprint car driver Buddy Kofoid. Now, Buddy, he's a two-time USAC National Midget Champion and currently competes with Roth Motorsports on a part-time basis with the World of Outlaws. Now, during our talk, we discuss his upbringing in racing, some of dirt racing's most prestigious events like the Knoxville Nationals and the Chili Bowl, and his aspirations for the future, whether that's NASCAR, sprint car racing, whatever it may be. So just a quick note, we had a little bit of connection issues throughout the call, so don't be alarmed if you see a couple of glitches during the video or Buddy looking at you funny. That's just the way the video kind of ended up lining up, but it's alright. Now with that, you can sit back, relax, grab your favorite snack, maybe some pistachios, something like that, and enjoy this episode with Buddy Kofoid. Alright, well, yes, starting off, I know your real name is Michael Kofoid, but I guess where did Buddy Kofoid originate from? Was it like a family type of thing, or what kind of went into being called Buddy more than Michael?
Yeah, so when I was really young, I my dad just referred to me as his little buddy. And then it turned into him just saying buddy, and then it caught on with other people, um and then it transpired into, pretty much everyone else and racing especially, and I think that's what I'm more known by. So um I'm more used to hearing that now more than Michael or anything. So just always gone by Buddy and it's kind of stuck.
And where did your racing passion begin to really say, hey, I want to be a race car driver?
So I grew up um, like riding dirt bikes for fun, and we would always go camping and do that when I was 3, 4, 5 years old. But my dad and his family, he grew up going to the races when he was real young, and my dad raced for a couple years when he was 19 and 20. But a lot of on my mom's side and my dad's side, they all went to races, whether it was sprint cars or sports car stuff. They all did that. Um, but we had some friends that started racing outlaw carts and um, got into it through them and raced one of their other cars for my first year. And then the second year, we decided to get around and just went from there.
Obviously, every kid, I guess, growing up through racing and watching it and going to races, they always have that driver they looked up to. For you, who was that driver?
I've had a few heroes growing up. My very first one was Steve Kinzer. Steve Kinzer was always my guy when I was super young, and still is now, even though he doesn't race anymore. Um, he's the reason why I was always number 11, and my go-karts were always white body with a silver wing, red number 11. So it's the retro Steve scheme kind of. Yeah, no, he was always my first hero, and was always a big Kinzer fan.
Obviously, being from California yourself, just how would you describe the racing culture there and just what makes it so special? Because I'm from Pennsylvania and I'm used to the PA posse and just that following, just always there's always that discussion between which state is superior in terms of dirt racing. How would you describe that?
Oh, I don't know, they're so different just in the way that well, I guess first off, California's primarily 360 racing, and that's what it's more known for, and that's what gets bigger car counts, whether it's could be 30 cars all the way up to 50 or 60 cars. Or if there's a few tracks running, they'll probably have 80 to 100 cars racing in California for a weekend. So they get big car counts, but whereas PA, for example, is primarily almost all 410s, and just their track shapes and sizes are different, and dirt's different, and just a different vibe being on the now that I've lived in the Midwest for a few years. Just the vibe for racing just seems to be a bit more, once you get to the Midwest or East Coast, where California, it's still big, but you kind of feel like you're on an island out there after you have gone out of California. So, um, but whenever the Outlaws or anyone comes to town, the big races, I feel like California is just as good, or they have just a good chance of winning as anyone else that's races on the national tour. So it's racing's real good. I think it creates great racers, and um, they're tough to beat.
You've been a part of Toyota Racing Development for a couple years now. Just how would you describe that program and having the opportunity to kind of grow within that system that kind of gives you the best possible just outlook on your career?
Yeah, no, it's been great. I started with them January of 2020, so I was 18 years old. Um, and been with them. This is now, I guess, technically the fourth year. So it's been great, and they've done a lot for me and kind of changed my life a little bit as far as maybe what I thought I would do, or maybe what I've been able to do that I didn't think I would have the chances to do. Whether it was, I obviously grew up running sprint cars in California, moved to Ohio to race sprint cars, and then got involved with Jack Irving and with KKM to run midgets, and then ran midgets for 3 years and still have the opportunity to run whenever I want. So that's really special. And then getting to do some truck races and did some ARCA races and late model stuff was a lot of fun. And now being involved with their sprint car engine program has been really special. And when they first came out with it, I wanted to try it and run it really bad. And then the opportunity finally worked out with Roth Motorsports, and it's been real good.
And obviously, you joined Keith Kunz Motorsports and had a lot of success with them on the USAC midget side of things, won back-to-back championships in 21 and 22. What would you attribute to that success during that run? Because I know that team has got so much history in that side of racing.
There's probably a few things. First and foremost, with the leadership of Keith and Pete, guiding us and letting us do what we think we need to do to succeed, or letting us grow, with some guidance but not too much. We figured out, I think, was huge. And then I'd say the next thing was, besides all the crew guys that work extremely hard and put together beautiful cars and go the extra mile as far as making sure they're reliable or having everything set up the way it needs to be. But Jarrett Martin was my only crew chief for those 3 years, and we stuck together that whole time, and we grew together, because my first year full time in the midget was his first year as a crew chief. So I'm 21 now and he's 25, 26. So we were 18 and 22 and when we started, and so I kind of take pride in our relationship just because of how good of friends we are. And we even lived together at one point. So I just think all those things together, with being real good friends and wanting to push each other, to go that extra distance and just constantly working together, but also having that extra time where we live together, and where you might have more conversations that you maybe wouldn't have at the track or at the shop, and just constantly going over things. I attribute that a lot to him and his work. And yeah, he was a man. He still is a man.
I'm semi new to dirt racing, and my only driving experience would be that World of Outlaws game. But which take it with a grain of salt. Just how would you describe just the difference between a midget and a Wayne sprint car?
Uh, it's quite a bit different, but not as much as you'd think. And obviously, like I said, I grew up running sprint cars, and then went to midgets, and then would still run wing sprint cars when I could, and then now I'm back with sprint cars full time. But I feel like as a driver, they correlate the closest to each other. Um, but I do think, and I've always heard that it's not nothing's easy by any means, but I think it's easier going from wing sprint cars to midgets versus the other way around. But just the wing car teaches you good habits as far as being straight and smooth and how to make speed. And where the midgets, you got to be more rotated and backed in. But I was able to figure out how to run the car a lot straighter on entry and make more speed or more grip. But usually once you get to the center, obviously everything's the same after that. Just keep it straight and gas the hell out of it and just try and make smooth, consistent laps. Whereas, obviously with a wing sprint car, that's important just because of having wings and having downforce where you can manipulate your car, other cars can manipulate your air in a good way or a bad way. And then in the midgets, the same way, minus downforce, they have so little horsepower that step or mistake can kill your momentum. And it's all just momentum racing.
I know you mentioned how pretty similar they are. Just I've never seen a midget in person, but to see a sprint car, I know how to. It's alarming to me how raw the power is that you'll feel, especially when you're pretty close. Just when you first hopped into one, I mean, just what was that feeling like? Is it that noticeable from your vantage point?
It's been a while since I first ran a 410. Because not a lot of people know I practiced a non-wing limited sprint car when I was like 9, and then practiced a wing 360 when I was 10. But I didn't race until I was 11 in a limited wing sprint car. But then I ran race 360s when I was 12 or I think 13. But I want to say I first got into a 410 when I was just turned 14, I believe. And well, now it's been, I guess, 7 years now. But ironically, it was at Cocopa Speedway, I think, in Arizona. So that's a pretty decent sized track. And it was for the winter heat when they had that for a couple years. So you get outlaw guys, all-star guys, or ASCS guys, or a lot of traveling, national guys when it was January. So there wasn't anything else going on. So they would all go there. And I think that was my first time in a 410. But man, I remember probably in awe or, in shock of just the difference of being used to the 360. But, that next step to the 410, um, there's 200 plus horsepower difference and you're probably 100 pounds lighter. And it's a big difference. But now you can't beat it. Like you said, just the raw sound and power and just the feel that it gives. It's hard to explain, and there isn't really anything better.
You've had the unique opportunity to run some pretty big races already in your career, just from Knoxville Nationals, Chili Bowl, BC 39, and just among others. Just for you, what's been that one event that you feel like you have to kind of pinch yourself rolling into the track or something like that?
There's two for sure, and you both named them, but Knoxville Nationals is probably to me the biggest dirt event in the world. Um, it just the man, it's hard to explain. Just the how the town gets involved with it is is just impressive to watch, and just to be around and seeing the town triple or quadruple in size, and just the how busy it is. And you go into a gas station and someone will recognize you, or if there's 10 people in there, probably 8 of them have sprint car shirts on. So it's just cool to see. And then being a part of the four wide on Saturday in the feature, you know besides the fireworks and the fire, just seeing all the lights from the fans, standing, it's just packed, not an open seat. It's just really special, and obviously that race is that way for a reason. I've just learned to take time to appreciate that, and just to sometimes look around and just, you know, take it in while you can. And then the other one is Chili Bowl for sure. Just the it being January and being indoors and um, just the vibe that it puts off is it makes me sick to my stomach sometimes, to be honest with you. And the feeling sucks, but I think it means a good thing. And how bad I want to win it, and I feel like we're good, and I've been good there. Just need to be a little bit better, and I feel like hopefully we'll be right there. So, um, but yeah, just the fact that it's almost 400 cars from countless disciplines, and same thing as Knoxville, just packed, not an open seat, just crowded in a building with all the rigs and the grandstands on the track under one roof is something that you don't really see anywhere else.
You mentioned that sickening feeling. Is that just because of the amount of drivers? Just everything's packed into this one little area that it kind of feels more, I guess, confined and like, oh my goodness, everybody's watching, or
Yeah.
where's that come from?
Well, so I would say that's a lot of the big races, but for some reason, like just hits me a little harder. I would say it just, and wherever I go, I feel it. It's just the being anxious or just the nerves and um, the pressure, but not pressure from other people, but the pressure that I put on myself almost without knowing I'm doing it, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but like you walk in and you get closer to your prelim night, then it's your prelim night, and it's just this constant pacing, just you know, thinking this or that, or just trying to get to the lock-in spots, or trying to win, or trying to pass cars in your heat race, or trying to win your heat race. If you're, wherever you are, you got to win. And making a qualifying, trying to win that, and trying to start in the front of the feature. It's just all these things that just, you know, you got to be perfect. And for there's no laps off. And I mean, like I said, there isn't anywhere else, but Chili Bowl, just for some reason, it's just a little bit more. And I think it being so different because it's indoors and because there's 400 cars is just it's just a different feeling for sure. Sometimes not good, but like I said, I think behind all that, I think it means something good, and I think you should feel it. Otherwise, if you don't, then it's not important enough. Or to me, it's you probably shouldn't be there if you don't feel some sort of nerves or it means you want to.
Now, obviously, ran like you mentioned a little bit earlier. You mentioned about the running for Kyle Busch for two truck races. How was that experience like for you, going from like the midget sprint car to a truck, big bulky truck?
It was it was definitely different. I had ran some pavement late model races, so not that it really correlates, but I feel like I had somewhat of an idea of sitting on the left and working with the spotter, and like just how you sit, and um you know kind of getting a feel for the weight of the car. um but I hadn't been in a stock car type car like the truck or like an ARCA car, where they're even heavier than the offset late model cars. And um, but having that practice day on, I think it was Friday, we were all raced Saturday, I believe. So having that practice day, we had two 45-minute sessions, I believe, on Friday. So that was, I think, really beneficial, and felt really good, and actually had a lot of fun. The second practice, it was so slick. Like I think we're like a foot off the fence all the way around, and I think we're extremely fast. And um, I remember this kind of thing. Went out there for the last, I think, 5 minutes, and there was a yellow with a minute or two to go, and they're like, "Oh, you can come pull in." And I'm like, well, can I just stay out and just finish the session? They're like, oh yeah, sure. So I finished the session. Then it was like we ran for another minute. There was about a minute, 30 seconds left. Like, all right, you can pull in. You're plenty fast. I'm like, oh, and I didn't know how fast, but we were really good. So that gave me a lot of confidence, at least ending on that high note in practice. And then, so I think we're ended up fourth in that 45-minute session, but I went out later as the track got worse and still put up a good time. So, like I said, that gave me confidence going into the heat races, and everything felt familiar that next day, just as far as, getting in and going over the procedures and, just how you get in the car and getting ready and, um, their manual with clutch. That's just different for me, and sitting on the left and knowing where your nose is different. So, um, but yeah, I think it honestly, not a lot of people had believed me just because of, like I was saying, the raw power of sprint cars and how they feel and how fast they are. But, I said that was one of the most fun times I've ever had in a race car, was Bristol on dirt.
You think that's just because of the length of the track, or just the car itself kind of garner, allowed for it to kind of, go full bore with it being, dirt track?
I say it's a combination of everything. I think the two main things, or actually few main things, is just because it was at Bristol. I've never been to Bristol before, and just the feeling of, it's kind of like Knoxville or Chili Bowl. You walk in and it's just this, Coliseum, like they call it. Um, and just the wraparound grandstands and just how huge it is, and you're at the bottom and everything is above you once you're in the track, um, and that it was my first NASCAR race was really special and something I always wanted to race in. And but then also I think at the same time, racing a truck was completely different than what I was used to. So I enjoyed that challenge, and I enjoy doing things that are way, way different. And I think that was just those combination of things that just made it that special. And getting to do it with Toyota and have Mobile One, and even Keith Kunz Motorsports had stickers on the car, and getting to do it for KBM was super special.
And final two questions. Right now, you're set with Roth for the rest of the year. Do you have anything set in stone for next year yet? Or just kind of wait and see as the season kind of progresses?
We actually haven't discussed that yet. I think in the next, couple weeks to a month, I think we might have a better idea of what we'll be able to do next year. Um, just because James is a full-time guy on the Outlaw Tour, and they normally don't have two cars. So hopefully next year we can have two cars on the tour, on some sort of national scene would be my goal and what I'd love to do. So no, it's been great running for Dennis and Teresa Roth, and like I said, happy to have Toyota and, in my corner, and be with them still, and I have their motors under the hood is special to me, and something, like I said, I wanted to do for a while. So hopefully we can continue that next year.
Final question, just looking beyond that, where do you want to see your career go? Is it more NASCAR based, where it's kind of sprinkles of sprint car racing, kind of like Kyle Larson does, or is it kind of more focused on the sprint car aspect for now and just kind of see where it goes?
Yeah, so I don't know. I've always wanted to get to NASCAR, to try to make it to NASCAR, and but like I said, that running that truck race, was special because that's what I've always wanted to do, and kind of validated what I was feeling or what I thought I wanted to do. So would love to still get there and really enjoy that, and love that atmosphere. So that's definitely always been my goal, is to get to NASCAR. But um, after running midgets for a few years and kind of taken a lot of time off of sprint cars, which is what I grew up doing, and come back, has also been a lot of fun. Haven't really gotten to race sprint cars, I think this much. with the Outlaws or All Stars or now High Limit and travel this much. So this has also been a lot of fun, and I've enjoyed it all.
Buddy, I appreciate you taking the time, and good luck this upcoming weekend with the Outlaws and the rest of the season. Thanks again for tuning in to episode 47 with Buddy Kofoid. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. So as you can tell, I'm still fairly new to dirt racing, as you can see by all my IndyCar, NASCAR stuff, but it's just interesting to me how Buddy's name always seems to pop up in the headlines. Now, his future is extremely bright, and for all we know, he'll have multiple Knoxville National and Chili Bowl trophies all on his mantle here sooner rather than later. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I appreciate you guys for watching. Now, next week, we got two-time Indianapolis 500 winner Takuma Sato on the show. I'm super excited for that, so be sure to come back for episode 48 with No Attack, No Chance himself, Takuma Sato. Now, you can follow us on X/Twitter and Instagram at BehindCatch. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.